let's get straight into it, because we're now going to be talking about innovation. And to open the batting for us, a man who has my respect and a lot of other people's respect throughout the whole country, and in fact probably internationally as well. Please welcome Dr. Andrew West, the Lincoln University Vice-Chancellor.
Kia ora tātou. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. I think Rob got 10 minutes. I'll try and keep it below that. So I'll just give a perspective from Lincoln's perspective, if you want, its contribution to the Canterbury and national economy, and then what we've experienced with the earthquakes, where we intend to go or hope to go coming out of that terrible situation. So that's me. So Lincoln was established as the Southern Hemisphere's first dedicated agricultural college in 1878. It's based here in Canterbury, the Greater Christchurch, if you want. The institution became a university in 1990. It's all supported the land and productive industries that flow from it, and that's not just behind the farm or orchard gate. You're talking about processing, distribution, marketing and sales, talking about environmental integrity and planning, property, landscape architecture, tourism, sport, recreation, whatever. So it's a reasonably broad definition of land, but when you look at other universities, it's still a reasonably narrow set of disciplines. So for more than 135 years, the university's focused on improving our land-based sectors, their productivity and their environmental integrity. Strapline, feed the world, protect the future, live well. So why would we want to focus on land anyway? It's not a bad place to be. So let's look at our economic profile very quickly. You're probably familiar with this. 75% of New Zealand's merchandise export revenues from the primary sector and growing. Tourism contributes 15% of New Zealand's total export earnings. Sport's also a major industry, and I'd add there, because I forgot to put it, export education, of course, is very significant and will be growing again quite fast in this region. Already has started with us, and I understand also with the University of Canterbury. Our leading high-tech industries are agritech and biotech. I'd argue that this country eats and drinks its high technology. Land-based industries employ they employ 20% of the New Zealand workforce, the way I've just defined land-based. So that's 496,000 people out of about 2 million in the total workforce. And the world's fastest growing populations with the greatest wealth increases in China, India, Indonesia, Brazil, whatever. It says here just at our doorstep. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but they're certainly our major export clients, or will be. Now, that's why it's a great place to be. But our planet does face some very significant challenges and opportunities. So we are now living through the greatest ever accumulation of mammalian biomass. That's us. Other species are probably on the decline, ours is on the rise. 1.3 billion humans in 1900. 7.4 billion humans by 2010. Extraordinary increase. 40% further increase projected by the United Nations, between 9 and 10 billion by 2050. Birth rate's already falling, of course, which is why it's going to peak between 9 and 10 billion by about 2050. They want to be fed. Not only fed, but fed well. So what's interesting is the biggest impact on food, and actually probably demand for land, won't actually come from a 40% increase in population. It will come from a massive increase in wealth. So if you look at these are, I think, World Bank figures. By recollection, they estimated relative increase in wealth relative to the United States, so it's normalised. The United States went, 2009 to 2050. You got a 300% relative increase in wealth estimated in China, 200% in India, and about 154% in Indonesia. Now you compare that to 40% increase in population. As people get wealthier, coming off US $2 a day on average, get up to about US $10 a day, you start to introduce, first thing you introduce these days is a cell phone. And that's not flippant, that's actually a very liberating experience. But beyond that, you start to introduce animal proteins and fats into your diets. You're not just relying on plant carbohydrates and a few plant proteins. That's what we specialise in. So in fact, what we now face is New Zealand's golden age. As the demand for animal proteins and fats in particular is absolutely going to surge. And if you don't believe it, Rabobank estimates, Rabobank's probably the world's best specialist bank in terms of banking land-based industries. Their estimation is that unless every farmed hectare on this planet, farmed or orcharded or whatever you want, increases its productivity in the next 6 years by 33%, then price of food's really going to start rising. Or we bring in 78% of the remaining unutilised but utilisable land for food production. A bit of both, or one or the other. Is that going to happen in 6 years? No chance. So prices are going to be rising significantly beyond about 2020, and that's very good for a nation like ours. It's already why the terms of trade are so good. It's not that our volumes have gone up, it's the price has gone up in the international marketplace for our food products, which is affecting terms of trade. So we think that's fantastic. We think we're very well positioned as a university. We've just got a few problems. 40% of our floor space is evacuated. And we don't normally talk about that publicly. It's derelict. We have spent all our reserves on temporary buildings. I will be borrowing to pay the salaries by about 2/3 of the way through the year. You'll know by reading the Christchurch press we have embarked on a downsizing. A variety of reasons for that. But we're under very significant pressure. 3.5 years after the earthquake that did the damage to the university, there's still no sign of a resolution on insurance, and I am still nervous about whether the government will actually commit to the university like it has to the University of Canterbury and Christchurch Polytechnic and Institute of Technology. So we don't have that same level of commitment yet, and there's an election coming. So by June the 27th at the latest, the government will stop making decisions of any sort. We haven't got long to go before the election intervenes, and we have been writing a better business case for 2 years. I thought small countries were supposed to be fast and fleet of foot, but I come from England, you know, and I mean, I think we could have done it quicker. But anyway, having said all that, you have to be optimistic because things are going to go our way as a country. Well, they're going our way as a country. So we're looking at a collaboration called the Lincoln Hub, which is currently a collaboration between 5 research education or extension organisations. You may have heard about it. Lincoln University, of course, AgResearch, Crown Research Institute, Plant and Food Research, Crown Research Institute, Landcare Research Monarchy Whenua, Crown Research Institute and Dairy New Zealand, an industry good organisation. We're looking to really collaborate in ways that we haven't been able to achieve before. Do a lot of collaboration now. We like to scale it up in different ways and at greater volumes. I would very much like to see other institutions join this collaboration, and particularly the University of Canterbury, because I think that institution brings a set of academic disciplines that are not present and represented by those 5 organisations there, in particular engineering, physics and chemistry. What you're looking at there are a lot of biological and social sciences in the main, some chemical sciences in those institutions. We've really got carried away in terms of looking at a master plan. I can't see too much detail here, but that Springs Road, Ellesmere Junction Road, that's the roundabout there. We're thinking of creating a hub. It's a real shame that this country can't afford to relocate roads. We do seem to be putting the motor car ahead of intellectual discourse. I think in other societies they wouldn't fall for that trap, but this country has and will. However, we'll work round the roundabout, and this is the current. Well, it's true. Well, it's just true. It wouldn't happen in Denmark, wouldn't happen in Finland, wouldn't happen in Singapore. But we're going to rebuild the campus here. This is our campus. Rebuild completely. Very major plans for rebuild if we get the capital. Major plans from AgResearch. AgResearch wants to sell land here. They're currently occupied. So we've got some thoughts about what that land could be used for. Depends who buys it. Depends if Ngāi Tahu wishes to buy it. They'll have first dibs. AgResearch thinking about relocating over here. You'll probably be aware of its plans to focus on 2 centres in the whole country. In the main, one will be Palmerston North, the other will be Lincoln. So they're thinking at this stage building here. We're thinking of putting an agri-tech innovation park over here. So what Lincoln lacks is the private sector. Scott, CRIs and university lacks the private sector. So we want a lot of private sector companies located in this location. I've just had 3 Māori who work for our institution up in Malaysia negotiating, because I find it's much better than having Pākehā up there doing the negotiations, and I'm being honest here. We've had 3 Māori doing commercial negotiation on behalf of the university up in Malaysia to find the capital to contribute towards this. So we're looking for significant sums plus a complete rebuild of accommodation. We intend to set up the United Nations Student Village. We believe that when we grow, international enrolments. It will be for degree level south of the equator, mainly brown faces, if I can use that phrase. Different ethnicities, religions, cultures and diets, different sports. So we're currently looking at different portfolio of sports, different way of offering our menus, a different way of offering accommodation, a different way of offering a whole bunch of stuff. And that needs to be encompassed in the physical footprint and how we actually operate our wider campus. So it's quite exciting. We think there's a lot that can be done, but what we do need is a commitment from government, and we need that commitment before the election, in my view, because our staff have been through a hell of a lot, and I think they need this society to show as much confidence in this institution as they have. So I think, oh look, that's one of our farms actually, or a view from one of our farms. We are a land-based institution, so I'll leave it at that. And if there's any chance for dialogue and questions, I'll be happy to engage in them. Thanks, Rob.